and welcome to KTV News. In this show we are looking at how the referendum result will affect students and what support is available to non-UK European students and staff. One of the first things I would like to address is that, as many of you will have noticed, lots of people have been posting an opinion on the referendum results on Facebook and posted how they voted. You are under no obligation to do so. If you do not want to express your view, you do not have to, even if somebody asks you. In the UK we have a secret ballot, which means that no one else has to know how you voted. If you want to keep how you vote a secret, that is your right to do so, and you should not feel that you have to reveal how you voted, regardless of what others are doing on social media. If you go to the University of Kent and have checked your emails recently, you will have seen an email from the Vice Chancellor in regards to the recent referendum result. In this email she makes it clear that the University of Kent still sees itself as a European university. She also has said how staff members who are non-UK Europeans and have concerns should contact the Human Resources Department at m.accident@kent.ac.uk. Students who are a non-UK European should contact the Dean for Internationalisation at deaninternational@kent.ac.uk if they have any concerns. Universities UK, the head of which is the Vice Chancellor for the University of Kent, have issued guidance and reassurance to staff and students affected by the result, which can be seen at the web address below. Here at KTV News we shall try and pass on to you, the viewers, any information we can about what will be happening at the University of Kent in regards to the referendum result and the effect it has on staff and students, as we understand that for many this will be a very stressful time following the referendum results. That is why KTV News has done an interview with the Vice Chancellor of the University of Kent and President of UK Universities.
I'd like to thank you for coming in and giving us your time. My first question is, how will the University of Kent manage to keep its status as the UK's European university outside of the EU?
Well, really pleased to be here. It's a very important time and I need to talk to staff and students, so this gives us a great opportunity to ask the sort of questions which other people will be asking themselves. The University of Kent is proud to be UK's European university. It's a statement about that we're looking outwards to Europe, but of course we're also looking beyond Europe, around the world. It signals a very diverse community of students and staff from over 100 countries around the world.
Will the leaving of the European Union affect the university campuses such as Brussels and Paris in any way?
We're committed to keeping the campuses in Brussels, Paris, Athens and Rome as long as they fulfil our needs, which they do. They're very popular. Brussels is a very popular campus with students coming, international students coming from around the world. We're obviously checking everything to make sure it will be all right if we are formally outside the EU, but we're not expecting anything other than these centres will flourish.
Because of complications going from the EU to Britain and vice versa, do you think that the number of international students that apply to universities such as the University of Kent will reduce once the UK has left the EU?
In terms of international students, I don't see any significant difference because they have to come to us on a visa and we're not part of Schengen, and therefore they have to get visas to go to other countries in Europe. So I don't think there's any significant difference for international students. For European students, we're obviously very keen to make it absolutely clear to them what the rules are. At the moment, any returning student has already signed the contract for the loan. They come back in September, they have the loan to the end of their programme of study. New students coming in this September, the same thing applies. Nothing has changed. They come, if they are eligible for the loan, they sign the loan form, and it's for the duration of the course.
Will the Erasmus scheme be affected in any way by Brexit?
We expect that it might be. We believe when Switzerland had a referendum, albeit on a slightly different question, that did affect Erasmus. But Erasmus is also broader than Europe, so there are various schemes, and we're hoping we'll be able to get on one of the associated schemes. If that doesn't work, I think at Kent we're very fortunate. We have a lot of bilateral agreements with universities in Europe, and we're certainly exploring these as a sort of backup to see what we can do through these bilateral routes.
What will happen to access to student loans, not just for present students but those joining in September, because potentially Brexit could cause complications?
Well, as I said, we've got very clear information now from the Student Loan Company itself, and I'm very pleased with the government and the Students' Loan Company that they were able to get this information out on Monday, and that just confirms eligibility. There is no problems for students starting in 2016. Continuing students coming back in 2016.
What will Universities UK be doing in response to the referendum result? Because you're also the president of Universities UK.
Well, we're obviously doing two things. We're looking at all the immediate things we need to do now. What are the issues? So the issues are about students and about staff. It's in part about reassurance, this is what the current situation is, and we're clearly monitoring the situation to see if we can give any information out. We are putting information out to universities sort of every other day, or as we collect the information, so they're aware of what's going on. But of course there's another part of our work, which is what do we want out of negotiations? Where, you know, what do we want out of Europe? And clearly we want access to the European Research Council, Horizon 2020. You've already mentioned Erasmus. So we want access to these, and we'll be making sure that our voice is heard with the negotiators who are negotiating for the UK.
What will be done to help maintain the high standards and quality of departments that rely upon mainly or many non-UK European nationals?
Well, clearly at the University of Kent we have about 14% of undergraduates from continental Europe. We have written to all of them. We are trying to ensure that they all come to Kent, return to Kent, or come to Kent this autumn. There are a couple of schools which are perhaps more dependent on European students than others. We're working with them at the moment to see if we can adjust, if anything does happen, and it's not clear it will, but if they did lose the European students, whether they can make those numbers up with home or international students.
How will PhD students be affected by Britain leaving the European Union, and what will the University of Kent and Universities UK do to help these students?
I think at the moment, if PhD students are already doing their work, they will be able to finish and everything like that. Obviously, we have a lot of international students doing PhDs. We're used to people coming from all over the world, so we will support all students to get the appropriate paperwork to undertake research work in the UK. I think if they're in receipt of PhD funding at the moment, there is no issue. They just continue with their studies. You asked about PhD, but obviously the postgraduate taught as well, and we understand if they're in receipt of loans, again, it's like the undergraduate loan, there's no issue for the duration of the course. Clearly, PGT tend to be 1 year on that. If people, perhaps if they're doing a really long course and end up perhaps down the line in need of a visa, will obviously be supporting students and staff as the rules about visas, if they are needed, become clearer.
What will the University of Kent and Universities UK do to protect students and staff who are subject to xenophobic attacks?
Well, I think at the moment we have to be clear what's happening. Certainly at the University of Kent, we've asked people just to monitor the situation. So if there are such racist attacks, etc., that we are aware of what's going on. Clearly on campus we have very good security, we have a very good atmosphere, I think, of respect for people. We have Safe Zone, which is the app which students and staff can have. So there's a range of things there. If something happened which we felt was really a crime or off campus, we would obviously contact the police and work closely with the police. At the moment we haven't heard of major issues in this area, but clearly we're monitoring it. At national level, people are monitoring across the country.
Are there any final things you would like to say at this opportunity?
We're proud to be UK's European university.
I'd like to thank you for coming in.
Thank you very much.
Another key issue that the referendum has raised is the issue of apathy. In the referendum, many voters will have been first-time voters like myself. Many of these first-time voters were probably aged 18 to 24. 75% of 18 to 20-year-olds voted to remain. Only 36% of 18 to 24-year-olds voted, showing how young people are already partly disenfranchised. The fact then that the nation as a whole chose to leave may cause some of these voters to lose faith in politics to represent their views. One thing that is important to make clear is that even if the side you supported did not win in this referendum, that should not dissuade you from voting in the future. Your opinion will not always be reflected in politics, but failure to participate means it will never be reflected in politics. As hard as it may be for the first-time voters that didn't get the result they wanted, they should not let themselves be put off voting in the future. The other important issue with apathy was that the turnout in the referendum was more than 10% less than the turnout for the Scottish referendum in 2014. Considering both referendums had major constitutional implications, it doesn't reflect too well that only 72% of people voted on the 23rd of June 2016. While this is 6% higher than the amount than turnout for the 2015 general election, it does demonstrate how it may take a while for general election turnout figures to reach the point they did in the 1990s. What is also interesting about the turnout for the EU referendum is that in 2009 and 2014, only 35% 85% of people voted in the European Parliament elections. This could be seen to show how people care more about particular issues and perhaps favour voting in referendums more than in elections. Either way, this referendum raises interesting questions about apathy, ones that need to be addressed but are unlikely to be, as the main political focus is what happens post-Brexit. In regards to post-Brexit, another concern comes with the pound. Many of us woke up on Friday, 24th June 2016 to the news that the pound had dropped in value to the level it had been in 1985, which was the time of the miners' strike. Understandably, this is concerning. However, if panic ensues, the situation will become worse. It is worth remembering how strong the economy and pound were in the late 90s and early noughties, and that the pound will eventually recover, even though it might take a while. There is talk of a potential recession. However, even if there is, Britain can spend its way out of it like it did last time. Even though the UK has voted to leave, it won't be until 2 years after the enacting of Article 50 from the Treaty of Lisbon that Britain will actually leave. The majority have spoken and a decision made rightly or wrongly. What's happened has happened. Whatever damage has been done has been done. It won't be long till the EU referendum becomes a part of the history books, like the collapse of the Berlin Wall in 1989 or the Falklands War of 1982. I like to finish with a quote from the Pet Shop Boys' song Legacy from their album Yes, for those who are unhappy with the referendum result. You'll get over it, my friend. Time will pass, governments fall, glaciers melt, hurricanes pull, high-speed trains take us away north to south and back the same day. And you'll get over it, you do, you get over it.